Hi, I'm Courtney with Bourbon Lace Body Works. Today we're going to be making our famous pumpkin spice soap. This soap is part of our fall collection and there will be a link to purchase it at the end of the video. Alright, so we're starting here with our oils already pre-measured. I am checking the soap temperature and the lye water temperature, and we just want to make sure that those are pretty similar. They need to be both below 100 degrees. And right now I'm going to start adding the stearic acid and the goat's milk. Stearic acid is a natural fatty acid and it really helps with the hardness of the bar. And the goat's milk is loaded with some essential nutrients and vitamins that really just helps make a great bar of soap. I'm going to finish stirring this in, and then I'm going to add the lye water to the oils. You always want to add the lye water to the oils and not the other way. I am using a coffee filter just to filter the lye water to make sure that there is nothing in the water itself that would get into our soap. Alright, so I'm using the whisk right now, but I'm going to switch to our stick blender. The stick blender just really takes a lot of the elbow grease out, and you can actually just use this until you get to a trace. A trace is when it's thick enough where you're able to draw a line on top of the soap where you can start to see it thicken up some. So you'll just have to keep stick blending until you get there. Alright, that's good enough. I just like to start with a thin trace just since I do have to do some additional adding to the soap. So I'm going to separate out a portion of the soap batter. We're going to use this to color it orange later, and I don't want that to be a part of the main soap. And right now I'm going to add some pumpkin into it. This is just pumpkin puree, just out of the can, 100% pumpkin. And then I'm also adding some pumpkin pie spice, which is cinnamon and nutmeg. We're just going to blend this in. Pumpkin is very rich in antioxidants and vitamin C, so it does great things for your skin. So I'm going to switch back to my stick blender instead of the whisk just to get that blended in a little better. I'm going to make sure all that pumpkin is broken up. Alright, and next I'm going to start working on the portion that we separated earlier. This is what I'm going to color. I'm using the neon orange mica. I got it from our friends at Mad Oils. They have wonderful colorants. So I'm just whisking this in until I get the desired color that I want, and I want it to be pretty bright, so I'm using quite a bit of mica. I'll post a link to Mad Oils' website in the comments section below if you guys are interested. Alright, so now I am adding our pumpkin spice fragrance oil from Virginia Candle Supply. Again, there will be a link in the comments section. So we're just adding this in slowly and stick blending it in to make sure it's good and blended. I waited until the very end because some fragrance oil, if they have spice in it, it can accelerate the trace and make it pretty thick. So you just want to stir that in and make sure it's good and blended in. Alright, so that is finished, and now I'm just going to make sure that the orange here is thick enough, and it looks like it's a little thinner than I want it to be, so I'm going to continue to stir it some just to make sure that it's thick enough to go into the mold. Alright, that looks perfect. So now it's time to get this in the mold. I'm doing a little bit of a drop swirl technique. So I'm going to first pour in just the main batter with the pumpkin in it. I'm just gonna pour about 1/3 of it in. That looks good there. And then I'm gonna hold the orange up at a high level, and this is just so it penetrates through the brown, so the orange gets throughout the entire soap. And I'll just continue this pattern about 3 times. So again, just adding the brown. You always want to stir to make sure they stay as thin as possible and not too clumpy. A little bit more here. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna finish off with all of the brown here that I'm going to use. I'm gonna use the rest of the orange here so we can do a design on the top. Oh, it's not coming out. I'll use a spatula. I do this in lines. I try to keep, so you can see some orange and some brown. It'll make for a pretty swirl on the top. Perfect. And now I'm just going to use a skewer here to swirl the top. First, I'm going to make sure to tamp down any air bubbles that might be in the soap. And I'm just going at a 45-degree angle and just dragging it through the entire soap. And this will swirl through the inside as well as on the top of the soap. Then I just switch my angle to the opposite side and do the exact same thing. And we're all finished. All right, and here is our finished product. I am absolutely thrilled with how it turned out. It looks wonderful and it smells absolutely amazing. Really gets you in the mood for the fall season. If you're interested in this soap or others, please visit our website listed or our Etsy in the comments section.